What is good, YouTube? It is Rico the Fox Kid here, and once again, it's been a while since my last video. Last one was 3 months ago when the April ban list came out, and now there's the July ban list. Yeah, I took another break from the game just because not really a lot of people to play with still didn't really care for the format, and just all that crap. So, yeah, and I just been busy with life, so yeah, but decided to update my Shaddoll build for the current format. Not that that really changes anything, because the meta didn't really change. It just the balance just got rid of the Jin lock and the Volval chain, which were kind of stupid. Jin more so stupid. Like Jin was just a really retarded card and shouldn't have been legal. And then like the Volval chain, I think there was enough reason to ban it. I think it could have been fine if it wasn't, but overall it's a change that I think is alright, and that's coming from a guy who really loves the Volval chain. Like, it's one of my favorite monsters in the game, but I really think it was abused too much, but I'm not going to get into that. So yeah, this is Shaddoll, obviously. The last time I did a deck profile was also for Shaddoll, but it was a 50 card artifact build that I was trying out at the time, and I liked it, but uh, it had too many problems, and I ended up just not using it. And then the Shaddoll build for the format that started with Jeff Jones and Edward Lee, I think. That was the build that took off, and it just kind of stuck around. Then, like, Seraph Dolls got hype, but I don't really think they lived up to it. I think most people just kind of... It's kind of like half and half. Some people like the Seraphs, others don't. I personally don't really care for them, at least not in this meta. So, yeah. At least until we get Clash of Rebellions, Shaddoll hasn't really changed. There is some stuff coming out in that set that could mix things up a bit. Mainly the Perform Age engine and the Clown Boy stuff, well, though I don't know how good it will be without Lavalval Chain. And then there's also Eccentric Archfiend, which is a nice way to out damn near every floodgate in the game. It also happens to be a light monster, so that's also nice. But yeah. So with Shaddoll under this ban list, really the matchups haven't changed that much. Like Necroz's probably got a little easier just because without the second Shurret and without Lavalval Chain, it's a little harder for them to take off. But if they get going, if you let them get going, they're probably gonna beat you. But if you can outgrind them or get a stronger board than them and apply enough pressure, they'll probably win. So that's probably still alright in the matchup. Burning Abyss, I really haven't played against the more recent Burning Abyss builds, or at least not with this version of Shaddoll. There is one guy I know who plays BA, and usually I just play the mini Chaos build because I don't have to worry about Necroz and all that crap when I'm playing against just him. But I would expect this isn't too bad against Burning Abyss, but don't quote me on that. Clifford's probably still god awful. But hopefully with Burning Abyss picking back up, Clifford will drop in use because Klee has a bad Burning Abyss matchup, and then since Heller and Ritual Beast are Satella and Ritual Beast, I'm not that worried about them. It's mainly Necroz, BA, and Klee that I'm most worried about with his deck, and I think it's alright against all of them except Klee, but you can't really do anything to fix that. So, yeah, it did get a couple of new toys that mix it around. Well, I got one new one that should be pretty obvious, but I'll get to it eventually, so. Yeah, that was 4 minutes of rambling. Let's just get into the deck profile. Alright, so for Shaddolls, it's around 10 dolls. I think any more than that's a little excessive. Like, I try to keep it around 10. If I get to 11, it's a little pushing it, and I don't... 12, I like really just... that's too much. So I like 10. Or 9. One of those numbers. So, 2 Beast. 1 Dragon. I was considering bumping him to 2, just because of Klee, but that's really the only matchup where I really like the second Dragon. Like, it's alright in Burning Abyss because of the back row, but against Klee, that's the only matchup where you really want the second Dragon to pop the lose 1 turns and shit. But game 1, you're probably going to lose to Klee anyway, so the second Dragon's really not going to help that. And, like, you could probably side the second Dragon, but at the same time, I'd rather have my Shaddolls focus on accelerating my game and then have whatever else I'm fusing with be what deals with the opposing stuff. So, I don't know. I think there's reason to side a second Dragon, but I don't do it currently. Definitely something to consider, though. 3 Falco. I'm back and forth with this guy at 2 or 3, but I think 3 works, especially because he really helped you grind out the game. 1 Hedgehog. I really found that I didn't like having more than 1 Hedgehog, just because more often than not, I don't really ever want to pitch him aside from like really early. Or like to get like Squamata to hand with math or whatever. That's really the only time I really like using Hedgehog, and he also just clashes with Mistake. So I just come to 1, and then 3 Squamata the best one out of them. So yeah. And no hand because that card is still garbage. So yeah. Then 3 Math, probably the best monster in the deck, like undeniably. 1 Fellis. I was thinking about cutting her, but every time I consider cutting Phyllis, or every time I do, something comes up where I really wish I had her, and then, it's worth the risk of drawing her, so, yeah. And she's also light, and, this version of Shaddoll, which is, I guess, the pure version, pure, I don't know, people call it the pure version, I guess, because it doesn't really focus on any specific engine, it's just the Shaddolls and tech cards, I guess, something like that. It's really lacking in light monsters, so Fellis is just a generic good light. So, because Construct is still the best Shaddoll monster that's a fusion, it's just not a lot of good light monsters. Like, the Mini Chaos is just, I don't know, the Mini Chaos might have utility now that Jin is banned, but it's a lot of space, and it also, lowers the deck's consistency, and then, the artifacts are alright, but which artifacts are good in which matchups varies greatly, and it's also a really huge engine. There's just not enough room to run them. The Mini Chaos Dragons might be something to look into, though, again. 1 Pero. I wasn't originally running this guy because he was mainly a Jin out, but he's also just so versatile that I think he's worth using, and there's really no other card I'd rather run in his place. It was this, or Ring of Destruction, and I think Pero is just more versatile, so. And then 3 Valor, completely mandatory as long as Trish is a threat. 1 T-King, the lights, another mistake, and stuff, and BLS. So I believe it's 20 monsters. So, spells are the 6 fusions, 3 Shaddoll fusion, 3 L. Sometimes I side out one of the regular Shaddoll fusions, but I think it's important to main 6 just because, it's really hard getting off the ground if you don't open one of these, so yeah, I think it's just too important to run less than 6. 1 Raigeki. This card is way too good. I love Raigeki. This card is really stupid. 1 Book of Moon, and then 1 Soul Charge. Soul Charge got better under this list, and I'll get to that later. Soul Charge was already good in this deck because it let you come back, and, you could, revive Shaddoll fusion monsters that you used, either if they died or you used them in the fusion, you could just bring them back, and then they can't get unicorn, they can't get brioed, and it was just great. But it has another use now that, well, again, I'll get into, but it's pretty obvious. Okay, and this is just spells for traps. It's 3 Sinister Shadow Games. Yeah, 1 Core, 3 Mistake. This is how you win against, Necros and Klee. And then, come on, 2 Breakthrough Skill. So, I put these in because usually, against Necros, I found, I wanted to go off, but I was like, wait, if I go off and I can't kill them, they can kill me because they can just Trish me and I don't have Veilers. So I was like, we'll just run 2 more Veilers. So, Breakthrough Skill helps with that, and it also, it's also an out to Unicore. It's an out to Unicore twice because you can negate the Unicore, and then it's in the graveyard, you can negate the Unicore. So, I think Breakthrough Skill's got utility, and especially since you don't have to main Jin out, so you don't have to main Double Dark Hole, there's more room in the deck to put stuff like this in, so that's why I like Breakthrough Skill. 1 Torrential. So Torrential is interesting. I think that card's really good right now. It just got use in a lot of matchups. It's got use in the matchups I think are relevant. Against Necros, if they try to push, you can Torrential, and then they lose all their shit, and they're probably done for the turn. Against BA, if they special summon 2 Burning Abyss monsters, in like in an attempt to make Dante, you can torrential, and then they can't activate those BI monsters' effects. Klee, it stops them for a turn. Ritual Beast, it wipes their board because even if they defuse, they're gonna lose their monsters. And Satellar, it stops them from seizing in the first place. So just like it's got marginal use in every matchup. Some matchups I would consider signing it out, but I think it's good enough to main. And the last card in the deck's Vanny's Emptiness, which somehow is still legal, and I don't get that. Yeah, that's the entire main deck for the extra, and the main's 40 cards. So the extra, so Shaddoll fusions, I got 3 Construct, 3 Shaggy Naga. The third one never really comes up. Honestly, the second one doesn't always come up, but like, there's really nothing else I'd rather run, honestly. And like, I'd rather just, if I have to like make a push with Shaggy Naga, I'd rather have the extra Shaggy Naga so I can end with it in defense mode and fuse with the first one, and then that also puts Shek in the graveyard for Falco. So I don't know. You could probably get by with 2 Sheks, but there wasn't really anything I felt was worth running in its place. 2 Winda and 1 Anoyatilis. Anoyatilis got better too, and I just keep hinting at what the card is. And for Synchros, Star Eaters out to towers and out to like gets around Valk and all that shit. 1 Leo, and obviously 1 Trishula. So Shaddoll probably has the easiest time out of all the meta decks making Trishula. Actually, until Norden, it does have the easiest time making Trishula. And just because like you can do Math or Hedgehog, and then like Squamata or Dragon or T-King, and then Falco, and that's Trishula. And that's where Soul Charge comes in, because if those are all in your graveyard, and that will happen pretty early, you can just Soul Charge into Trish, rip 2 cards from your opponent, or 3 if you want to count the graveyard card, which is important depending on the matchup. So yeah, you can rip that card out, those cards from them, and then like if you're playing as Necros, you can fuse into a Noyatilis. So it turns Soul Charge into a power, like a massive power play, like bigger than it already was. And I think that's more than enough reason to run Trishula. Like, this card's amazing, and I'm really glad it's back, because this is just great. 1 Arcanite. So if there was any card I was going to put in place of the third Sheki Naga, I'd probably put in Black Rose, but I really haven't run into an instance where I want to make Black Rose. Because like usually, if I'm making Felis, I'm going for a play where I'm going to make Felis, and I'm either going to make Arcanite, pop 2 cards, and then use Arcanite to make Construct, which Black Rose doesn't help with, or I'm going to use Math, get Felis, use Felis to pop a Unicorn, and then push from there. And just like Black Rose just really never comes up. Like the only thing I would really want to use Black Rose for is like maybe turning it into Grista, but it's not worth it. I think unless Towers Turbo becomes really, really huge, then it might be worth considering. But I don't think Towers Turbo is gonna be that great. And then one Goyo and one Armades. I didn't put any Xyz in. Like the only Xyz I really wanted to use was Castell, and like it's okay. Like I never really ran into a situation where I used Castell. And, like the only other one I would do is like Volcasaurus or Durandal against with like Soul Charge plays. But usually, if like at this point, if I'm going for Soul Charge, I'm probably gonna do Trish because it's more devastating. So I didn't really see a need to run any Xyz, so that could change. And then for side, because I've been out of the game so long, I really haven't gotten any of the more expensive recent cards, so there's some stuff in here that should obviously be here and that's not. So there's 2 Lancia. It's for Necroz, and also for Ritual Beast, I guess. 3 Lila. This would ideally be Denko Sekka or Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. When Denko Sekka gets reprinted in the Mega Tins, I'll see what the price is on that card and I'll pick them up. But for now, Lila is just like, against Klee and BA, I'm not going to keep in Veilers, and against BA, I'm not going to keep in Thunder King either, usually, because, look, maybe Thunder King against BA just because, like, it stops his Karm Search, but, like, mainly against Klee, Veilers is, like, completely useless against that deck, and Lila, at least, lets me pop, like, Floodgates before I go for a light, and it's just, like, it's a way for me to maintain my light count without keeping a car that's dead. And like, she's not super great, but she's useful enough. And so like, ideally this would be Ghost Ogre or Snow Rabbit, but I'm not gonna blow out $120 on 3 copies of a card of a game that I really don't play seriously anymore because I don't have the time, nor really the drive to, as long as the game is the way it is. Like, I enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's not worth that money to me anymore. This is kind of how it happens growing up, because like, shit, I've been playing this game since I was like 8, and I've been doing this YouTube channel since I was like 15, 16, and I'm 21 now. Like, holy crap, I've been playing this game for a long time. But I digress. 3 Maxi, mainly for BA. I can also side in against Ritual Beast and in the Mirror, depending on how they play it. I still side the 2 Dark Holes. This is just outs to shit like Vanities and Majesty's Fiend. It's mainly those, like Diamond, Dark Law. It's useful in Necroz's Mirror if they decide to just keep their boards out against you. And it's useful against the Mirror match if you're trying to just like break their board, because Shaddoll is really good at making powerful boards, so Darkhole can deal with that. And also in the Mirror, this is more useful than Mistaken Thunder King would be, so like, I'd side out Mistaken T-King, but I don't really have anything prepared for the side for the Mirror. So then I would just play Darkhole. And then, yeah. And then 3 MST. And 2 Twister. This probably should be Typhoon, but Twister I think works just as well. This might be a little too much back row hate. I kind of just threw this side together. But I just hate Klee that much that I'm willing to side in 8 back row hate cards against them. But like, if this was too much, I'd probably cut these and then put in like Mind Control and something else, and that just evens out the Mirror a little bit. Probably like Mind Control, maybe the second Dragon. But yeah. So I think our deck, the meta really hasn't changed. Clash of Rebellions looks like it might shake a lot of things up though, at least for this deck. Give it a lot of power, because the Trick Clown, the Perform Ace Trick Clown is really good. But you gotta see how well it fits in with the deck. But yeah. Without Love All Chain, it's a lot tougher, but Necroz got easier without the Jin lock constantly threatening you, and without Evolval Chain, their first turn plays aren't as powerful. But yeah, whatever. Well, this video was a lot longer than I thought it would be, but I guess I've been out of the game for a while, so yeah. Maybe I can stop taking these hiatuses and maybe the game will go back to the way I want it to be. I mean, not the way I want it to be, because if it was the way I wanted it to be, it'd probably be like a really old-ass format that's never coming back. But, yeah. Too much nostalgia. Anyway. I might do a deck before Mermail just because the Dragoons came back, but I don't think Mermail is going to work at all in this format. I'd probably just do it for fun. But yeah. Thanks for watching YouTube, and see you next time. Deuces.